Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. Today's Wednesday. I sent off 2 more cards for TTM today. I want to send off more and more, especially to the free and cheap guys. I'm working on getting a lot of old Diamond Kings cards autographed. I just pulled out my childhood collection of cards, and I had this huge pile of Diamond Kings. So some of them are duplicates. I sent off 2 today to free guys because that's what I'm focused on right now. Barry Larkin and Alan Trammell, both to their employers, which is hard. Those are really difficult ones, but since they're free, I figured why not? These cards have been sitting in my collection for 35 years. What I want to discuss today, though, is a bonkers fraud case from this one guy. It's actually quite a few cases this one guy perpetrated over 35 years. And it started, the story comes from Sports Collectors Daily. It started with this guy who's right now, who just pled guilty. Seems like pled should be the word. Pleaded guilty and was supposed to be sentenced this week, but now it's later on next month, to repacking and selling counterfeit cards in resealed wax packs. He had things like Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky rookies, a 1916 Babe Ruth Sporting News rookie. All of these were counterfeit. This guy's name is Brian Kennert. He's 57 years old from Michigan. He's been indicted on 8 counts of wire fraud. He knew that these cards were all resealed because he had resealed them himself. He sold them as original. If they were real, according to BBCE, they were worth about $7.3 million. An authentic 1916 Ruth, by the way, sold about a year ago, November 2021, PSA 7, sold for $2.5 million. So that one card is 1/3 of that, assuming that it grades out at a PSA 7. And I've got to think that if you're creating these counterfeit cards, you're going to try to get as much money as you can from them. Maybe you're not going to do a 10 because that's crazy, but he probably had it in pretty decent shape. He's facing up to 20 years in prison, and this isn't his first time. It's not even his second time doing something like this. 30 years ago, back in 1992, he was caught selling fake 1987 Fleer Will Clark rookie cards. I mean, back then in 1992, this was probably a hot item. Looking through my childhood collection, I had a lot of Will Clark cards, a lot of Will Clark rookie cards, had a lot of Juan Gonzalez. I mean, a lot of Juan Gonzalez rookie cards, dozens and dozens of them. So he sold these. He put out an ad in a magazine and sold them. The article on Sports Collectors Daily says that he sold them to postal inspectors. I assume these postal inspectors were undercover. It's not clear, but that's my assumption reading this article, is that he sold them to postal inspectors who were undercover. And then he was at Oakland University in Michigan, and his dorm was raided by federal agents and postal inspectors, and they found 4,000 to 5,000 counterfeit cards in his dorm, plus a book called Sports Card Counterfeit Detector. It's smart, right? Like Walter White as Heisenberg probably was buying other product in Arizona, so he knew what his should look like. Not the perfect example, but if you're going to commit a crime, you should know what your competitors are doing. And Sports Card Counterfeit Detector is showing him how to detect fake cards, so he can do things to make sure that his fraudulent cards, were not detectable or as detectable. His roommate's father at that time, his roommate was from Hong Kong. Remember, this is in Michigan. His roommate's father at that time was a printer in Hong Kong and told investigators that Kennert asked him to send his father baseball cards to be reprinted in his print shop. Smart. Very enterprising young man in college. But he was busted for that as well. In 2014, he was accused of trying to auction off a box of 1969 Topps cards that was resealed and repacked and all of the cards were fraudulent. And Steve Hart from BBCE, again, helped bust this. So this is the second one where he's been busted by Steve Hart of BBCE. All the criticism of Steve Hart, very, very publicly, the mistakes that he and his team have made this year, he has been doing this for a very long time and has found a lot of fraudulent packs. And so in 2019, now this is case number 4. In 2019, Kennert set up a booth at an antique mall and over 6 months sold $43,000 worth of cards to one couple who thought they were buying authentic vintage cards. $43,000 over 6 months. It makes me wonder, what were these people doing with these cards over these 6 months? Were they just putting them in their personal collection? That's a lot of cards to be buying from one guy that's set up in some dank antique mall. And then they weren't sending them off to PSA to get authenticated or to get graded or anything like that. It's just, it's a little strange to me. So that was in 2019, and they eventually pulled a Michael Jordan rookie card in one of these resealed packs that he made and tried to put the Jordan in a top loader, but the card was too big for the top loader. And that's when they said, uh-oh. And so they went to Steve Hart of BBCE, and he showed them, they showed him what they were opening, and he looked at them and immediately knew that they were resealed and tampered with. And he showed them how bad these packs were resealed and glued together. And he said that people can be fooled because they are all very consistently glued the same way, even though they were poorly done. So really interesting stuff. So in 2021, after this couple has been fooled for months and months, they turned them in, and in 2021, investigators raided his house and seized 10 boxes of cards and memorabilia, a bag of counterfeit cards. The counterfeit cards included attempts, and the article states, attempts to counterfeit a T206 Ty Cobb. So he's going big. A 1963 Topps Pete Rose rookie card, too. 11 Michael Jordan rookies, a bunch of Gretzky OPC 1979 rookie cards, a 1914 Crackerjack Shoeless Joe Jackson card. It's such a strange mix of cards. Like Pete Rose rookie doesn't really fit here with Ty Cobb T206. There's also a 1911 T205 Cobb with gold border, 1952 Topps packs with counterfeit cards resealed, 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruth. This guy had some stones. He was going big. So he says he's trying to fix his life now. He just wants to pay back the restitution. I don't buy it. When you do this over 30 years and you've been busted 4 times, 3 or 4 times, I can't even keep count. It's just who you are. And there's something wrong with this guy. Like, I don't know. I feel for the people who bought from him for so many years, who got fake cards, counterfeit cards. It's a shame. I prefer buying raw cards too. But I don't think I would buy from the same guy all the time. If I'm going to spend $43,000, which I don't have, nor would I ever spend on that much on vintage cards, especially over 6 months, I'm going to do a little research on this guy. Google him, boop. Oh, there's 20 years before, 25 years before, he was busted for fraudulently making cards and selling cards. That's just me. Maybe they were very, very wealthy. Actually, you know what? I'm going to Google that right now and come right back to you. There is absolutely nothing about them that I was able to find on the internet. So that's even more intriguing to me. If you're wealthy, that you've probably got news about you, you've probably got a website, there's stuff out there. I didn't see anything. So anyway, if you're new here, or if you watch my videos and haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It really helps out. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.